flight was illegal and the pilot crashed on takeoff, killing the music star Aaliyah and everyone else on board the aircraft. This is the story about a pilot that never should have been flying the plane. The story takes place late afternoon on August 25th, 2001, when Aaliyah and 7 other passengers boarded a private charter plane to fly from Marsh Harbor in the Bahamas back to Miami. 30-year-old Captain Luis Morales was the pilot that crashed the aircraft. During those 7 months that he was building his hours, he was arrested twice. The first time was in November of 2000 after he tried to return $345 of stolen aviation parts. The second time he was arrested was on July 7th when he was pulled over for running a stop sign and police found crack cocaine in his car, and Lewis told the officer that he was in the area to buy cocaine for a friend. And if you're wondering how a guy like this is allowed to continue flying, here's the truth. Pilots have up to 60 days to self-report alcohol or drug-related convictions. And technically, Lewis was still within the 60. The aircraft that Aaliyah and her entourage were flying in on the day of the crash was a 1976 Cessna 402B. Before the aircraft even made it off the ground, eyewitnesses said the pilot had to use a crate to support the aft cabin door because the cable supports for it were broken. Additionally, they reported that the pilot had trouble starting the engines as the engines backfired and sounded like they were running rough. Technically, this could have been due to pilot error because the truth is that investigators didn't find any major engine problems that would have caused the plane to crash. However, they discovered that the left engine fuel control system was partially blocked with lint, and both engine fuel filters were contaminated with rust and debris, creating the impression that the aircraft might not have been properly maintained. And they were approved by the FAA to operate under what is known as a Part 135 Single Pilot Operation Certificate. This allowed them to legally advertise and charge passengers for flights, but the owner, Mr. Gilbert Chacon, was the only pilot that the FAA approved to do those flights for the company. The flight was booked through a company called Sky Limo, who had aircraft and pilots on call 24/7. Sky Limo originally planned to take Aaliyah and her team back on Saturday, but someone called them and told them that the production was delayed and they wouldn't be needed until Sunday. As fate would have it, video production finished early on Saturday, and even though Sky Limo had aircraft on standby just an hour away, no one ever called them. Instead, Atlantic Flight Group called Blackhawk International Airways. Lewis was supposed to pick everyone up at 4:30 p.m. Unfortunately, he didn't show up until almost 2 hours later. Those closest to Aaliyah knew that she was a nervous flyer, so the delay didn't really help her anxiety, and when Lewis landed and she saw the plane, that's when she knew that something didn't seem right. You see, when Aaliyah flew down to the Bahamas, they had flown on a Fairchild Metro 3, which is capable of carrying up to 19 passengers. The Cessna 402B that Lewis brought in only had 7 seats in the back for the 8 passengers. That meant that in order to make the flight